Okay, we'll be starting Python. Okay, we'll be starting Python. Date is 14/4/2018. Starting on Python. Python is a very old language. It started in 1991, so it is very old. It is used by almost every big companies like Google, Nomura, Deloitte, and so on. So all big companies use this programming language Python. Google is working on a Python version 2.7. The current Python version that is available in market is version 3.6. So this is a very important language to learn. It will be required for big data analysis, or if you are doing anything related to data in data sciences, it will also be required over there. So there is a very important language for big data analysis. Why it is important? Let us see in some time. Okay. Python since 1991. It is a high level programming language. What do you mean by high level programming languages? You can do every functions like arithmetic operation, logical operations. You can read file, perform read, write on different files at the same time and so on. It is used by every big company like Google, Nomura, Deloitte, YouTube, Facebook, Mozilla browser, NASA, and so on. So these are the companies that are using. It is an interpreted language. It is an interpreted language. It is not a compiled language. What happens in compiled language is, let us consider for example like Java or COBOL or so on. In these cases, what we do is we compile the language first. We write a program and compile the program first. Once we compile the program, there is something called as a machine code that is generated. On compile, something called as a machine code that is generated, that is executed after that. So this happens in something called as a compile language, example Java, C, and so on. However, Python is an interpreted language. That is no need to compile in advance. We won't be compiling it into in advance. So whatever we write, it will be translated on the runtime. Translated runtime. So this anyone will ask, what do you mean by if they ask you the question, what is Python? You will say that Python is a high level programming language. First came into 1991. The current version is around 3.6. Most of the big companies use this Python language like Google, Nomura, YouTube, Facebook, Mozilla, NASA. Google is still using version 2.7. Python has a point. Python is planning to remove all the version, removing the support for all the version less than 3. So Python will no more support this language 2.7. Support will not be available. But since many companies are using, they have extended this deadline till 2020. So after that, they will only be supporting more than version 3. It is used by all the big companies. It is an interpreted language and not a compiled language. What is a compiled language? You write a code, you compile, and the machine code is generated, and after that, machine code is executed. That is called as a compiled language. Whereas interpreted language, it is not compiled in advance. It is only translated into the machine code during the runtime. When you execute the program, on that time only it will be translated. It is not in advance. It is used for web programming, for scripting purpose, and so on. It is very easy to learn. It is very easy to learn as compared to other languages. Easy to learn. It can run on any platform. It can be run on any platform, just like Java. Java can be run on most of the platforms. All the major companies use it. It can be used on websites, making APIs, even used for phone app development. So this is about the introduction of Python. Now, what are the reasons why the Python is used so much? Why Python? The first and the important reason is easy to learn. That is, anyone can pick up this language very fast. Second most important reason is platform independent. It is platform independent. It can run on any platform, like it can run on Windows, it can run on Linux, it can run on Mac OS, it can run on Android devices, and so on. Then it is easy to do object oriented programming. Object oriented programming can be done. And last, it is a open source. That is no need to pay anyone. It is a open source, freely available, and lot of support. Many libraries are available for different functions, so you can find lot of support on this particular language. So these are the reasons why Python programming is used so much. These are the reasons why Python is used. Okay. How you can do a programming in Python? You can do a programming in two different ways. You can do the programming in Python in two different ways. The first way to do the Python programming is interactive way, that we will be doing today and tomorrow. That is, we'll write a code and it will execute on the go. So execute on the go or on the fly. Execute on the go. This is the interactive, that is, we'll be writing a program and we'll just execute it. And the second way is writing a script. The script is nothing but the entire code will be written in a notepad or something like that with the extension of py. So entire code will be written in py extension file, and the entire code will be executed on the go. So there are two ways by which a Python programming can be done. One is the interactive way, that is just write a code and execute on the go. We'll be doing this in both the sessions. And the second way is script. That is the same code you have written in interactive. You can copy it into a file with the extension .py, and all the code will run inside it. So these are the two ways by which the Python programming can be done. Things that we'll be covering are as follow. To be covered in the class, we'll be covering these things in the class. To understand Python basics, that is required for big data. First thing is we'll be learning syntax, how the code is written. We'll also do some operations like addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, and so on. Then we'll define data structures to store the data. So we'll be defining a data structure. After that, we'll be using function, defining function, calling that function to do particular operation, and we'll also be doing exception. So for today, we'll try to cover this much part, basic syntax and operations. If time permits, we'll also do data structure, or else if time does not permit, then data structure, function, and exception we'll do tomorrow. So these are the things that we'll cover today, and this is the thing that we'll cover in the next class, that is tomorrow. This is about the theory. Theory should be a bit boring, but as you do the programming, it will be more interesting and the concepts will be clear even more. Any doubts until now?
Are we covering are we covering any version specifically?
We will be doing on version 3.6, that is the latest version.
Okay.
Okay. So all these things we will be practicing on a Windows machine, or Linux machine, or Mac OS, whatever you have. I am using a Windows machine. To start with, uh, Okay. Can you see a web page? Can you see this web page? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a Google Drive. I will be sharing this link. I have already shared with Muni and Vinita. I will also be sharing with you, Vignesh. You have to go inside
Okay, sir.
this part
Okay.
one. Then the contents of day one and day two are stored over here. The
Okay.
previous week contents will be shared on every Tuesday, and whatever
Mm-hmm.
is the prerequisite for the next week will be shared on Thursdays.
Okay, sure.
So like today's thing will be sharing on Tuesday, and whatever is required for next week will be shared on Thursday. So
Mm-hmm.
this I had uploaded before. We have to go inside this. There
Okay.
is a Word document.
Installation of the Anaconda for Python.
Yeah, installation of Anaconda for practicing Python. So depending on what you are using, Windows or Mac OS or a Linux, you have to go
Mm-hmm.
accordingly.
Okay. But
Uh,
if let's say if I download from the Python website itself, is it okay, or do I require any additional library? Like, because Anaconda has more. I mean, Anaconda has difference compared to the one you download from the Python website, right?
you can also download from a Python website, but following
Mm-hmm.
this Anaconda for practicing the Python is a very interactive. Can add codes, comments, and so on very easily. And it is a
Mm-hmm.
browser based, very easy to follow. So that's why I'm taking this. But the same code you can practice in any of the Python
Okay,
installation
okay.
available.
Because okay, sure,
Okay.
shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. So if you don't have Python installed, you can install this Anaconda for practicing Python. For Windows
Mm-hmm.
64-bit, you have to click over here.
Okay. Because right now I'm using a web version of a Python, so that's why I'm not sure if it's sufficient or.
It's sufficient.
Okay,
Any language, any installation that supports Python is sufficient.
okay, ma'am. Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Like there may be
Okay.
a few difference if you are using less than version 3, the print is given in the inverted commas. Whereas after
Yeah.
version 3 they have introduced a bracket. So these are the small things
Yes,
that
yes.
you need to take care. Okay. So if you click on
Okay.
this, the Python will get download automatically. It's around 450 MBs, and then you have to install it. I will cancel the download. I already have it installed, so you need to install this for practicing. Okay. Okay. So once you have installed this Anaconda Python, the compile installation is successful. Then you have to click on Windows and type Jupyter. I will give you the screenshot.
Oh, so Jupyter Notebook is also installed, is it?
Sorry, can you come again?
The Jupyter Notebook is also installed with
Yeah, yeah,
Anaconda Python.
yeah. Anaconda
Oh,
Python will also install Jupyter
wonderful.
Notebook.
Oh, wonderful.
So this is the screenshot. You have to go into Start. Over here, there will be a Start. You have to click on Start. Then search for Jupyter. Then you have to search for Jupyter to start it. Once you start search for Jupyter, you will see Jupyter Notebook on Jupyter Qt console. You can use both, but Jupyter Notebook is easy to follow, easy and more interactive. Interface is more interactive. So I'll be using Jupyter Notebook for the class. So once you install, you can see this Jupyter notebook. You have to start. Once you click on it, it will open a web browser. It will open a web browser. Whatever is a default web browser that will open, and in it the Python or the Jupyter notebook will start automatically. After I will be sharing you the Jupyter notebook, how it looks. Once you start the Jupyter notebook, it will look something like this. Jupyter on the top. These are all the files. For practicing, I will give you one file that will look like this. Python basics 14 April. I will give you this file after this class. Once you have this file, what you have to do is you have to open this. Once you have this file, you have to open this and just click on upload, and you have to upload the file that I have given to you. Okay, once I have given this file, you can open this file. Learn. Once you open, we'll do the introduction. Okay, it is a command shell. IPython is a command shell for interactive computing in multiple program languages. It was originally developed for Python. It supports all these things: shell syntax, rich media, and so on. It gives these options. It gives you the interactive shell, that is the one that is open, and it also gives a Qt console. You can also do a programming in Qt console, Qt based. A browser based notebook with a support for code, text, and mathematical expressions that we are using now. Support for interactive data visualization, good GUI, flexible to load a project, tools for parallel computing, and so on. So this is just an introduction of it. Now to start the Python, how to start it is you have to go to file. If you are following over here, file, then go to new IPython notebook. So if you want to open a new Python to start practicing, you have to click on file over here, then go to new notebook. It will take some time to load, and you can start programming over here. This is the first program that we always write, print hello world. Once you have written this program, what you have to do is you have to click over here, and whatever you have written, print hello world, will be printed over here. So this is the first program that we start learning from any languages like C, C++, and so on. The first thing will be always print hello world. So we have to just open, write the code, click on play or execute, and it will execute for you. Okay. If you want to add a new line, you have to press Alt and Enter. So it will add a new line. If you want to delete, you have to do Escape DD. If you want to delete, you have to do escape dd, d two times. So create a new shell, you have to do alt enter. To run, either click on this button or do shift enter. To delete, you have to do escape D over here. If you want to convert something to a text, either you can click on it and select it as a code, markdown, or the shortcut is escape M. If you want to see more shortcuts, what are the different shortcuts, you have to go into help and see the keyboard shortcuts. So for find and replace, it is escape F. Insert a cell above, escape A, enter a cell below, escape B. Cut is escape X. Copy is escape C. Paste is escape V. Paste cell above is escape shift V, and so on. So these are the different shortcuts that you can refer over here. If you don't want to use shortcut, you can also do it by here. Like if you want to add a new line, you can just click over here. If you want to cut it, you can click over here. If you want to copy it here, paste, go up or down, execute, stop, interrupt the kernel, restart the kernel. You want to convert it into code, markdown, raw, or heading, and so on. If there is some issue you're not able to use, or whenever you're executing a code and code is not getting executed, what you can do is restart. If you want to clear the output, like this hello world is already printed over here, so you can clear that also, clear everything, restart, and clear output. Every output will be cleared. Reconnect if it is not connecting, and so on. So if there is something weird that is happening, that is you are not able to execute a code, what you do is just go and restart the kernel from here. If you are still not able to do, then just close the browser window and do again. Start the browser window again. Whenever you start a Whenever you start with your Python notebook, something like this will start. Never close it. If you close, there can be some issues. Okay, we are good to start with the programming. Okay, the way we did a hello world program over there, the same way there is a hello world program over here. To print something, the syntax is print followed by bracket. Lower version does not support bracket, so print hello like this. Okay, instead of double inverted commas, you can also put a single inverted commas. So depend on your how your company, most of the people are using, or what is the syntax that is developed over here, you use accordingly. You can use either single inverted commas or a double inverted commas, it's okay. So print hello world. Working directory, it's just a variable. No need to define whether it is integer, character, string, or array or something. It will automatically take its data type. No need to define a data type. So I'm just writing a comment. No need to define a data type. Auto interpreted. The programming language will interpret by its own. A hash is for comment. If you want to comment something, you have to do hash. If you want to do a multiple line comment, you have to do like this, three dots, and everything inside it will be commented. So first thing is no need to define a data type. It is auto interpreted. So what we are doing is we are assigning a working directory as like this. So we have assigned the working directory. Now we'll be printing the working directory. So once you print the working directory, it will look like this. Okay. One thing to take a notice at the start, instead of using a single slash, you have to use two slash. At the end also you have to use two slashes. Okay. When we are executing this command by using this button, it will print what is the working directory. Now do some operation. Multiply operation is as below, like 23 into 543. So we are doing 23 into 543. The multiply operation is as below. The result of 23 into 543 is 12489. If you want to see the history, whatever commands that you have executed before, the command is %history. So if you do a history, you can see that you have executed hello world 3 times. One time we had written the double inverted commas, then it was a single, then again a double inverted commas. Then we defined a working directory, then we printed working directory, then we did a multiply operation, and finally we did history. So using %history, we can get a list of all the commands that were being executed before. And once you have, you can also use it to copy into a separate file because you have all the list of commands over here. Okay. To get help about something, you can just write question mark. Let us say we are writing print and question mark. So if you write question mark and execute, so it will give more details about it. Print what can be the things, values, and so on. Prints the value to a stream or to the sys.std out by default. Standard out, that is on the display screen. So if you print, it will be on a standard output screen. Standard output device, that is a screen in our case. And this is how you can get the help for the command whatever you are requesting. So you have to just write question mark at the behind and you can get the help on that command. Okay. NumPy, sometime refer as NumPy or NumPy. It is a library in a Python programming language that supports most of the arithmetic operations on a big data. Like it adds the support for large multi-dimensional array, matrices, and so on. So if you want to do something on matrices or a large array, multi-dimension array, you have to import NumPy. NumPy is just a library provided. There are many such libraries available. Okay. In NumPy, we are importing NumPy as a NP and we are using np.mean. So np.mean is a function. We want help about it. So what we'll do is np.mean question mark. Once we do np.mean as in question mark, we can see all the help regarding np.mean. np.mean. What the np.mean is does is it finds the arithmetic mean along the specific axis. Okay, to see all the functions that are available, what you can do is use the tab button. So I can write np because we had imported numpy as np. I will write np dot and press a tab button, tab button. So it gives all the other available options, np dot add and so on. Let's say I will do a simple thing, np, I press a tab to see all the available options. It will take some time to load. np dot add, I have selected np dot add. Then I will do 2 comma 5. So using this, it will add these two numbers 2 and 5. The sum of 2 and 5 is 7. So 7 appears over here. Okay. things to note is Python is a case sensitive language. That is, you cannot program like uppercase and lowercase. Whatever you are following, you have to follow the same way. It is a case sensitive. Whenever you are entering a white space, that is a space bar slash blank, you should not just enter like this. If you just enter a space, it may not execute the program because white space is used for indentation purposes. Like if you are using a if statement or and if while or statements like that, you have to move ahead by bit. So white space is used for that purpose. You cannot just use a white space in front of some command and so on. Few programming languages require semicolon at end. For Python, semicolon is not required at end of statement. So for Python, the semicolon is not required at end of statement. There are some languages that use semicolon at end of statement. For us, it is not required. If we are using a conditional things such as if, else, we have to use white space or blank. Let's say if you are using a if a is greater than b, then we have to put some white space, print a is greater than b, a is big, something like this. So we have to do like this, we have to use a white space, like else we are writing, again we have to use the same white space or a blank space saying that b is big and so on. So this is how the Python is used. This is how the white space is used. The statements that will go together will be used in the same white space. Just an example of how the white space is used. Okay, so this was about syntax, basic syntax in Python. So it is a case sensitive language. You should not use white space unnecessarily. White space is used for indentation. White space is used for indentation. There is no need of semicolon at the end of statement. If else, if you are using, use a white space. Example was like this. Okay, we'll go to the next thing. We'll start executing the code. Here if you see, there is a variable age. We are assigning a value 7 and print age is. Let us say by mistake we are putting one space over here. Let's say what happens. Let's see what happens. Since we put a space over here, it gave an error, that indentation error. So there is an indentation error, unexpected indent. So what we can do is just remove the space and execute. So it gets executed well, saying that age is age, that is 7. Note that we are not giving any assigning any data type. By default, it is taking the data type as integer. Since the value we are assigning is an integer, it will take a data type by default as integer. Okay. How to comment a line? This is how you comment a line. If you want to comment a single line, you have to write hash. If you want to comment a multiple lines, you have to write a inverted single inverted comma 3 times. like this. So this line is commented because there is a hash in between, hash in the start. This line is commented because this also has a hash in the start. These three lines are commented because this is inside three dots. Finally, print out of comment. So this is out of the comment. Let us execute. Since these two print statement and this print statement is already commented, this should not execute. This is not in the comment, so this should get executed. Okay, this is executed out of comment. Any doubts until now, anyone? Anyone having any doubts till now?
No, no doubt.
Okay, we'll go to example of indentation in if statement. X, again we are not defining any data type, it will automatically take integer because the integer value is assigned. X is equal to 11, y is equal to 5. Then what we are doing is print x. So what it will do is it will print the value of x, that is 11. If x is less than 10, if x is less than 10, for our case what is the value of x? X is equal to 11. So since x is equal to 11, will it go inside it? No. Since 11 is not less than 10, it will not go inside it and this will not be executed. Only this line will be executed, that is outside the if statement. So let us see. So yes, only this line was executed, print x. Okay, let's change the value of x to 7. So I have reduced the value of x to 7. Just a comment over here, I have written the value of x is equal to 7. Since 7 is less than 10, this two line will also get executed. Let us try to execute. Okay, these two lines also executed. First, it printed the value of x, that is 7. Then, since 7 was less than 10, these two lines was also executed. So, this is how, if you are using a if statement, whatever is there inside if will be given with some white spaces. You can put any number of white space. Okay, something like this. Everything. Let's say I am writing print y like this. So now this print y is outside the if statement. Reason being there is no space in between. So print y is outside the if statement. Now if I write x is equal to 10, or let's say x is equal to 11, is 11 less than 10? No. So it will not go inside this if statement. So this x will not be printed, but this y will definitely get printed. So it will go over here, print the value of x first, will not go inside this and print the value of y again because y is outside the if statement. So you can see only this was printed and this was also printed again. Any doubts, you can stop me in the middle and ask me questions. Okay, the same example that we did above, by removing the white space, since there is no white space over here, the print y is outside the if statement. So this print y will always be executed. If condition is true or false, this print y will be always executed because it is outside the if statement. There is no white space. Any doubts, you can stop me and ask question. Okay, we are going to do the different data structures now. Understand what are the different data structures? So first do built-in data types. The built-in data types can be integer, it can be float, float means with decimal point, it can be a string, string means an entire collection of characters, it can be a boolean value, boolean value means 0 and 1, it can be date, it can be time. So these are the built-in data types. That then what are the data structures? Data structures that we'll be studying are tuple, list, and dictionary. To explain this one by one, built-in data types don't think much to explain because int is just an integer that is without a decimal point. The float is the one with the decimal point. Then string is a collection of array. Boolean value can be 0 or 1. Date and time. Similarly, data structures, tuple, list, and dictionary. Tuple is nothing but a collection of different data types. There will be many such data types, just like array. The only thing in tuple is you cannot change the value inside it. That is, you call it as immutable. So tuple is immutable. That is, you cannot change the value inside the tuple. Definitely, you can add the value at the end, yes, but you cannot change the value inside a tuple. List is also a collection of different data types, but it is mutable. That is, you can change the values. Mutable can change the value. Immutable means cannot change the value. Dictionary is something like dictionary, but what we have studied since our childhood, like English dictionary, wherein the meaning is stored. So there is one word, any word, and there will be a meaning for it. So dictionary, if we see for any word, then can be a multiple meanings. There is a single word, but there can be a multiple meanings to a single word. If I am using a one word can have a multiple meanings. It can be having a 2, 3, 5, 6, or 7, 8 different meanings. So dictionary is again the same over here. It is a key value pair. There will be only one key. There will be only one key. Can be multiple values. So what is dictionary? Dictionary is nothing but a key value pair, that is a collection of key value pair. There will be one key, but it can have a different values. When we do example, you will understand in more details. We'll start with the example in some time. We'll take a break of 10 minutes or so and we'll return in some time. Currently in Singapore, Malaysia, the time is 11:55. We'll start at 12:05. In India, the time should be around 9:25. The time should be around 9:25 in India. We'll start at 9:35 in 10 minutes. Any doubts until now?
Not so far.
Okay, so we'll resume in 10 minutes at 12:05 Singapore and Malaysia time, at 9:35 IST. Mute